All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into a case that's, well, it's pretty weird, to be honest.
Yeah, this one's definitely a head scratcher.
It is. So we're looking at a story out of Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
a man who tried to break into jail.
Into jail.
What? Break into jail? That's crazy.
Yeah, you heard that right. Not out of jail, into jail. Lawrence County Jail specifically.
Wow.
And the guy at the center of all this is named Kirk Davis Muckenfuss, and his rap sheet is, well,
It's a long one.
it's a doozy.
He's facing a whole slew of charges promoting prison, contraband, drug trafficking, criminal mischief, you name it, it's on there.
So, I mean, I got to ask, like, what would possess someone to break into a place that everyone else is trying to get out of?
Right. You'd think staying out of jail would be priority number one.
Exactly.
But see, this is where things get interesting because even though jail is supposed to be this place of, confinement, it's still subject to the same rules of supply and demand as the outside world, and that includes illegal substances.
So you're telling me there's basically a black market going on inside prison walls?
Exactly. There's a market for certain goods and services, and contraband, like drugs, can fetch a pretty penny inside.
I guess that makes sense when you think about it.
In this case, they found a whopping 32.5 grams of meth on Mr. Muckenfuss.
32.5 grams.
Yep. And that, plus all the charges against him, suggests he wasn't just some casual user. He was probably involved in a larger distribution network.
That's wild. Okay, but how do you even get that much meth into a jail? I mean, those places are supposed to be pretty secure, right?
Well, this is where the story takes another turn for the strange. It seems Muckenfuss was trying to get in through a broken window
A broken window.
after cutting a hole in the jail fence.
Wait, you're telling me he cut through a fence, snuck across the grounds in the dead of night, all just to get to a broken window?
That's what it looks like.
Sounds like something straight out of a movie.
Yeah. But the comedic element sort of disappears when you consider the seriousness of his crimes. And to make matters worse, he got caught by the very correction officers he was probably trying to sell to.
Oh, man. That's got to be the worst sales pitch ever.
Talk about a bad business plan.
And with a bond set at over $1.5 million, I'd say this guy's in some pretty hot water.
Oh, yeah, that's a steep price to pay for a botched smuggling attempt.
So how do they even come up with a number like that for bond? I mean,
Well, generally speaking, bond amounts are based on the severity of the charges, the risk of the person fleeing before trial, things like that.
so in this case, given the charges, the amount of drugs involved, I guess it's not surprising they slapped him with such a high bond.
Exactly. They're definitely not taking any chances with this one.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But beyond the whole, breaking into jail thing, is there a bigger takeaway here? What does this story tell us?
You know what I find most intriguing about this case is what it reveals about the demand for drugs, even in a place like jail. I mean, you'd think that being locked up would deter people, but the reality is addiction doesn't just vanish because you're behind bars.
That's a good point.
This whole situation highlights the complexities of addiction and the challenges of rehabilitation within the prison system. It's easy to laugh at the absurdity of it all, but beneath the surface lies a very serious issue.
It really makes you think about how we approach addiction both inside and outside of the prison system.
Right, and this case, with all its strange twists and turns, really forces us to confront that reality.
So in a way, this guy breaking into jail is sort of a microcosm of a much larger problem.
Exactly. It shines a light on a system that's struggling to cope with the overwhelming demand for drugs and the very real struggles of those battling addiction.
And it leaves us with some pretty tough questions to ponder.
Questions that we as a society need to address head on if we hope to find any meaningful solutions.
Well, that sounds like a real muck and fuss.
Well said. And on that note, I think we'll wrap things up for today.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening, everyone.